Good morning, everybody. Today, I want to talk to you about the topic of getting more commercial jobs. I'm Dick Wagner, one of the co-founders of the Crest Network, as we do every Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. Many of you, of course, know that and already have it on your schedule. We present a Crest webinar on the I'm personally on the first Tuesday of every month, and my topics are usually about marketing strategies. I like to think of myself as a tactical specialist. And so you're wondering what that means? Well, ask me the next time we talk and I'll tell you all about it. So how do I get more commercial jobs? Let me see if I can move my screen. It's rarely luck of the draw. Yes, we all know that, you're at the right place at the right time. You answer the phone and just out of coincidence or luck, through something that maybe you did or were exposed previously, it was the luck of the draw. But generally, it's not the luck of the draw. You don't generally get commercial work unless you plan for getting that work with certain strategies and approaches to your everyday marketing process. The picture on the left is what you would consider, Main Street, the small town Main Street type jobs that could come to you. And those, if you got any one of those 2 or 3 story buildings, they would be decent small commercial jobs, and nobody would turn those away. We're not going to talk a lot about getting those commercial jobs in that picture that you see on the right. Those are probably reserved for somebody that has a very, very specific strategy, and developed a relationship and has a pre-disaster program in place. That's likely the only way you're going to end up getting that kind of opportunity. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time. I've got a couple slides towards the end of this presentation to address that program. But in general, we're going to be talking about the small town or the hometown Main Street type properties that you see on the left. If you think about it, just one small commercial job each quarter, every 3 months, can easily mean an extra $50,000 in profit for your location at the end of the year. 3 or 4 small commercial jobs can easily generate 50, and many times we have clients generating $100,000 in total profit at the end of the year. But you're going to want to create awareness. You're going to want to develop relationships. You'll need to have a very high visibility on social media, and you're going to want to engage with those prospects, those people in those properties right there on the left. You're going to want to engage with them on LinkedIn as well. There are what I would consider 5 basic steps to approaching and developing that small town relationship or Main Street relationship. Every business that you personally know, you should approach them. I'm going to give you here the obvious list. You can do a screenshot of this if you want. If you can't easily do that because you're driving, reach out to me afterwards and I'll send you this particular deck slide. But you ought to be approaching in your standard everyday marketing your local mom and pop businesses. These could easily be your local auto body shop, and your local small grocery store, and the auto repair shop. And you should be approaching people that are members of the Chamber of Commerce in your community that you're also connected as part of the chamber. We all go to bars and restaurants, especially we go to the non-chain style bars and restaurants or the local style bars and restaurants. And those you can get to the owners and managers easily. And they ought to know your name, who you are, what you do, and how you can help them. Because I can tell you in years past, I did a lot of work on bars and restaurants that experienced smoke damage or a significant water damage. And those are great, wonderful opportunities. You know, they're only maybe $40,000, $50,000 jobs, $100,000 jobs, maybe, but they're great opportunities. Sure, one only comes along once a year, but you should be the one that gets that call. You should be talking with those people that own and manage mini marts. You can get to those people. And many insurance agencies own their own building. For gosh sakes, tell them who you are. Tell them why you care. Your local small factories and machine shops and your local churches. We have learned that your local church it's going to have a disaster. At some point, it's going to experience a disaster, and they need to know who you are and how you can help. Every one of us goes to a doctor or a dentist. We're talking with them. We're actually talking with the owner, that owner doctor or that owner dentist. And very, very often they own their own facility. Please reach out to them and engage with them. Second step that you should be doing is you should have what I call leave behinds that remain visible. You all know, or almost all of you know, most all of you have attended one of our classes. You know that I'm not a big fan of what we call tchotchke items. I'm not a big fan of giveaways. I'm not a big fan of magnets and mugs and pens and pencils and things like that. But there is an appropriate place for some of that stuff. And that appropriate place is in that environment where it's that small time commercial, local mom and pop style facility where they're probably going to keep your business card or your magnet or your coffee cup, coffee mug sitting on their desk as a constant reminder. And then hopefully you are engaged on LinkedIn, or you are doing blog articles on your website, which your blog articles need to be what is commonly referred to as edutainment. They need to be educational, but they need to be entertaining. An article that compiles both education and entertainment within the article are extremely popular. They're extremely well read, and they will elevate you to a better thought level position. Clarifying what you leave behind, I think that personally, donuts, notepads, candy, pens, I think they're poor items. Partially because everybody gives that kind of stuff out, and you don't want to be like everybody. And secondly, they're what you call expendables. Pens and notepads get used up and they're all done. They're thrown away. Candy gets eaten, it's gone. Unless you're going to go into that small town, local, commercial, mom and pop style property every single week, and you can't do that. And you're going to do that and you're going to fill their candy jar every single week, which would be absurd. You don't want to establish the process of taking them candy. It's very, very cheesy. And for heaven's sakes, please get their business card. You know that your business card has your key contact information. Their business card has their key contact information. It probably even has their cell phone number on it, and certainly their email address. What a perfect way to add their email address to your constant contact newsletter database, or adding their cell phone number to your Red Oxygen or some other text messaging platform, so that you can send out constant reminders once every week or 2 or 3 or 4 by text message. As you know, text messages are read 96 or 97% of the time within 2 or 3 minutes of being received. That's huge, people. That puts you top of mind immediately. Step number 3, what you got to do is you've got to introduce yourself, introduce your company, let them know that your company is a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week, 365 days a year responder. Just like an ambulance or a fire truck, you're a first responder that will respond to them around the clock, day and night, holidays and weekends. They need to know that. And then you need to really do that. They need to know you're local. You're in their backyard. You're in their neighborhood. You can respond quickly and you can help them get back in business quickly. You need to let them know you have people, you have crews, you have equipment, you have the skills and the expertise. You have to say those things to them. Remember, it's about helping them recover quickly. Not one of those mom and pop businesses wants to be out of business for very long at all. Most of them don't want to be out of business for any length of time. Let them know you're local and you can respond quickly and help them recover quickly. And for heaven's sakes, get them on an email list that enables you to send them a quarterly or more often monthly newsletter. And that newsletter should not be about you. You can even in your constant contact newsletter service in your database, you can have numerous different categories and send out a newsletter just to churches or just to car repair shops or auto body shops or just to local factories. You can tailor it specifically to those kind of clients. And then please connect with them on LinkedIn. Most of them are on LinkedIn. Many of them are on Twitter. A huge amount of them are on either Facebook or on Instagram. What a great way to engage with them. We're not talking about having to visit them every single week or inundate them with an overwhelming reminder, but you need to touch base with them fairly regularly. They need to know that you're in their backyard, you're in their neighborhood. You can help them recover quickly. There's a sixth step that almost everybody forgets. I call it follow up, follow through, and then follow back. Most people just simply say, you need to follow up. It's more than that. You need to follow up, yes, but you need to follow through with any commitments or promises or things that you told them that you would send them or bring them or call them with. That's the follow through. And then the follow back is after you've done what we call the follow up, you need to go back again and again and again so that they're engraved or you're engraved in their brain. And that works fairly well and works fairly easily when you are local and in their backyard, in their neighborhood. Also, they feel like, geez, they're a small business and they want to do business with a small business locally if you're capable. So you're going to have to demonstrate to them that you are capable. And there is one more step that very, very few marketers do. And that is build your personal brand. There's a whole separate video, a training video on the concept of building your personal brand. Some of you have heard it. Some of you have gone to the Crest Network website and watched it. But if you don't build your personal brand, then you're not known, you're not remembered, you're not top of mind, you're not thought of, you're not considered that leader of that particular thing that you're promoting. So take some time, take that step to build your personal brand. It's such a small, seemingly small part of who you are and what you do, but it carries so much weight with how people think of you, how people remember you, and how people put you top of mind. Now I want to take just a moment and talk to you about, remember that picture on the right-hand side, the high rises, the big skyline, those really tall buildings. They're, for example, I have a lot of marketers who aggressively go after hotels. And I have some clients that have 200 and 300 hotels in their portfolio. And so because of the frequency of a disaster in a hotel, they're getting hotel jobs seemingly every month. And that's adding upwards of $1 million a year to their database, or I mean, to their sales numbers. But first and foremost, I want to tell you, I want to remind you that you cannot go after high-end commercial marketing unless, as an owner, you're prepared to invest a minimum of $100,000, a minimum of that in a year, over the course of a year, and not see any immediate results from it for the first year. It takes a lot of time to build a credible portfolio that's going to start yielding you enough work to pay for that marketer. First off, you need PREP or something very, very similar. PREP stands for Priority Response Emergency Plan. It's a trademarked program. It's been around since about 2001, I believe. I designed it, I built it, I created it. I have continually modified it and tweaked it, added things when we learned that we should add them, deleted things when we found that they were no longer valid or worked as well. So it's been what we would call a living document. The PREP program, and I have in that PREP program probably several thousand commercial properties around the United States that are part of that program, with several hundred contractors putting it together. And it kind of goes like this. I just give you a quick rundown of it because it's a whole separate training program. We actually have a commercial marketing specialist class that we hold maybe once a year. And it's a 2-day program, and it's an intense 2-day program to teach you how to sell the PREP program. But number one, you need the PREP program. Number two, you should be going in to those commercial properties. Let's say hotels, for example. You should be offering to tag their shutoffs in all of their critical controls. You should be providing them with a disaster preparedness manual. That disaster preparedness manual consists of 8 sections to it, upwards of 75 or more pages within it. Those pages are on the crestnetwork.com and are available to you if you are a Crest Elite member. And then number 4, you should be doing or offering to do a simple Matterport 3D scan, or at a minimum, a company cam photo exhibit. Or, and I'm aware that there are now a couple other similar type of platforms or programs out there similar to Matterport or company cam, but you should be offering to do that for 2 reasons. It documents for you and them what you're dealing with, and it gives you a local copy or record for your files so that your people that are responding know exactly what they're seeing when the loss comes in. You should be getting a simple agreement signed. I know that there's been a lot of discussion, and we have this discussion in the commercial class when we teach that, but a simple agreement is not a contract. A simple agreement it just simply states that that client agrees to call you when they experience a disaster that you probably can help with. A contract has a date, it has a dollar amount, it has a definitive time when you will complete the job and respond and complete the job. And so it is not a contract. A contract often has to go in front of the owner or even legal in order to be signed. But a simple agreement, we've learned over the years that a simple agreement that has maybe a date on it, no specific beginning or ending time, no dollar amounts, because we don't know. It's just an acknowledgement that they're going to call you. That simple agreement is often signed by the GM of a hotel. But the big question is, why should you get the agreement signed? I can easily tell you. If they won't sign the agreement and they're just simply saying, hey, we know who you are, we're going to call you anyway, trust us, we promise, fingers crossed. Yeah, right. Okay. People don't keep their promises. We know that. Managers change. You need to follow up on that agreement regularly so that if a manager changes, you can get a new one signed. But when they get an agreement, when you get an agreement signed, they're committing. They feel mentally and even to some degree physically committed to you and that promise. It also has one other advantage. When you get a local company, a competitor comes swinging in, wanting to put something in place with them, very, very often they will say, oh, I'm sorry, we're already on contract with some other company, you, for example. And so they won't even sign something else because they feel that they're on contract. The fact of the matter is they're not, but they use that as a great excuse why they won't talk to the other person. I also highly recommend that you have a one-page list of some of the common standard pricing items that you include with that. There's an advantage to that. When they're saying to you, hey, how do I know if I sign this agreement that you're not going to like rake me over the coals? You're not going to stick it to me and charge me absurd pricing when I do call you. That's easy, folks. Just simply say, I'll provide you with a short list of the standard pricing that we use. I'll give it to you right now. I'll give it to you ahead of time. You can check us out. You can call 2 or 3 local competitors of ours, and you can ask those local competitors, hey, what do you guys charge for an air mover? And I guarantee you, if you have an air mover price on your price list, it's going to be within a few cents or a buck or so of your competitor's price. So they're going to see that and they're immediately going to know that you're not scamming them or you're not inflating the prices just to get them to do business, to do business with them. Some of the challenges, and I just touched on this briefly, some of the challenges that you will experience. Folks, it's a long-term process to do the prep program. It's not only a long-term process, which very likely will take as much as a year or more, but it's going to take well over $100,000 with no immediate return. So I had a call the other day from a client who wanted to join the CREST program. And he was very proud of the fact that he did almost $275,000 in mitigation business last year. That's just you to do $275,000. If he did it well, he made about $150,000 in profit. He can't afford, and he is not ready to go after a prep program and hire a full-time marketer for that program and pay that marketer between their car and their salary and their bonuses and so forth and whatever. It's going to cost them $100,000. They can't give up $150,000, or they can't give up $100,000 from that $150,000. Just not practical. Number two, remember that in a meticulous process of prep programs on agreement, when you have upwards of 100 buildings, those 100 buildings are going to generate upwards of 7 or 8 losses a year. If the average loss in commercial is 40 grand, small commercial, 40 grand, that's $250,000 in additional revenue. And that's only if you have 100 buildings. What's really wild is that hotels have, for 100 buildings, they have on average 14 losses per year. You should be getting excited about that, but I always tell people, sign up hotels, because they're going to have, on 100 buildings that you have signed up, they're going to have an average of 14 losses a year. That's more than one a month. That's more than over $500,000 a year in immediate revenue. And I also suggest that you really haven't hit the sweet spot until you have upwards of 200 buildings in your commercial portfolio signed with prep agreements in the prep program. I recommend developing, when you're big enough, developing a formal pre-disaster program. It's something that CREST and Bill and myself can help you with, but you can only get the prep program through the CREST network as a CREST Elite member. And then I also recommend, just as a quick touch here, that if you're going to get 100 hotels signed up, you better be visiting those hotels monthly. That means as many as 25 visits a week, and mostly just to say hi, mostly just to remind first the manager, and then the new manager, and then the new head of housekeeping, and then the new restaurant manager and new maintenance, head of maintenance, who you are and what's in place in that hotel. You can also then take them a Maven article, a new one, and add it to the prep manual. And then we're going to talk very quickly about, because I think you need to know this, they need to know what the benefits are to them. First and foremost, when they are under agreement with the prep program, they will get, you will give them priority service when they need it. The good news is they will not have to hire an out-of-state truck in a truck or Bob in a truck, or one man in a truck. You know, you've all heard the nightmares of a disaster happens in your market in hurricane season. A disaster happens, and here come the long station wagons or the rickety old vans towing a rickety old trailer, and they're here to help. And no legitimate hotel wants to hire that kind of client. When they have the prep program in place, you give them priority service and they don't need to hire the chuck in a truck. They get your local fast response, and they get back in business quickly. They don't lose tenants or customers. They don't get stuck with bad contractors. They have minimal or even better, no downtime. They don't lose revenue because their half of their hotel is damaged and flooded and they can't rent out those rooms. Simply put, when they have a prep agreement in place and they are part of the prep program, they don't have anything to lose with you. It costs them nothing. You charge them nothing. Why wouldn't they want to do business with you? You can do one of 4 or 5 different things. Remember, those calls are going to come in when you have developed that portfolio. Number 1, you can inspect and then take the project. You can inspect and then call in outside resources and support to help. And that's the more likely one. It's in blue on the screen here because that's the one that's most common. If you land a $150,000, $200,000, $300,000 commercial job, you're going to need somebody like Scott Turkley and DEI to come in and help you provide resources and support like desiccants and manpower and even some skill. You could also inspect and turn the job over to a competitor. Boy, that seems like shooting yourself in the foot. You could just simply turn the job down and not give a referral to a competitor. But I don't think that's real smart. You could take the job. I know of contractors that this has happened to. They're arrogant. They're willing to take on a job bigger than what they can handle. And so they get into a major mess and they end up hurting their business and their reputation. And I do know a couple contractors that made those terrible mistakes. And we found out about it afterwards. They were not Crest members, but they went out of business. So I'll just remind you about this. We didn't talk about this because initially because all of you were excited and wanted to hear about getting commercial work, but you can't shirk, you can't get away from, you can't forget, you can't exclude your residential relationships. You've got to maintain your relationships with insurance agents, with plumbers, with HVAC companies, with roofers, with carpet cleaners, with oil burner companies, with pest control firms, with some property managers, really specifically residential property managers. And I did put property managers at the bottom of the list because property managers are not my favorite type of client. It's like doing a small residential job 10 or 15 or 20 times over in a low rise, medium rise, or high rise apartment complex, and they can be nightmares. On top of that, the property owner, the owner of that building, is responsible in most cases for all of it, but you are going to deal with and have the headaches of every single resident within the affected area and immediately surrounding it. So they become real nightmares. Quick reminder, the Crest Network has a huge library of Maven articles, and I will just tell you, just as a reminder, we have a library category of churches with a couple dozen articles on there. Another category of general commercial with 5 or 6 dozen commercial articles or Maven articles on there. Healthcare, hospitality, 5 or 6 dozen insurance agent Maven articles, nursing homes, property managers, plumbers, schools and colleges. There are pushing 350 maybe Maven articles. If you're going to give out one roughly every week, my gosh, you've got months and months and months, years worth of Maven articles. All you've got to do is go to, if you're a Crest Elite member, go to the Maven articles on the crestnetwork.com, access the Maven articles, download and print out the ones you want for your clients. If you're going to visit 10 insurance agents that week, print out 10 of them and take them to them. I'm Dick Wagner. On behalf of the Crest Network, on behalf of Bill Giannone, I hope that you got something out of this, all about how do you get more commercial jobs. Please reach out to me and talk to me specifically about that. I'm always available. At least I'll always return your call. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it very much. Bye-bye.